Hello and welcome to another What Sold video. This is everything that sold for me on my not live selling platforms December 29th to January 3rd. I think I got that right. If not, editing Bob will fix it for me. But I'm going to scoot over here and share with you my eBay sales because eBay is the only platform I made sales on besides Whatnot. So let's get started. The first is this vintage 80s pattern set. But it's not patterns. It's specific for a electronic knitting machine by Brother that I think came out either in the late 70s, early 80s. And this is a booklet to scan in to that knitting machine. It's very niche and very specific, but I've talked about how before I will pick up knitting patterns and sewing patterns and crochet patterns as well as cross stitch patterns and needlework patterns because they sell, and this sold for $17.88. So very niche, very weird, specific machine, and it's still sold. Also, the patterns and the sweaters that the patterns make are so like kitsch and cute that I kind of wish I could buy those sweaters. I hope whoever bought this is actually going to make the sweaters for the patterns. That's what I got to say. I picked that up at the bins for like 25 cents. These are two Warhammer books from the book bundler buyout that I've talked about. I'm already in the process. I'm already in the profit. I have made well over like $500 from that book buyout, in addition to the fact I still have tons of books to sell. So I'm very happy. I've paid myself back within like 5 weeks, and then now I'm just consistently getting more and more profit from that buyout. I talked about how Warhammer books are valuable. They will become more valuable once the show happens, if it ever happens. I know when I did the book bundler buyout, I talked about the fact that there is, that Amazon is in talks of doing a Warhammer show with Henry Cavill. But they still haven't reached an agreement with the Games Workshop, which is the company that owns the rights to Warhammer. Until they reach that agreement with the licensing, they can't do the show. And then the show will normally take about 2 years to film and then actually make happen. So don't necessarily hold on to your Warhammer books until the show comes out, because that might not be for another 2 or 3 years. Go ahead and get them listed. They're still selling really well, as you can tell. Both of these books sold to the same buyer. For some reason, they didn't make a bundle. They could have bought one more book and then gotten a free book. I don't know why they didn't do that. Oh well. Sold for $43.74. It cost me, this went out for the media mail pound rate, so it cost me $4.63 to ship this. And then, it was $2 for the books, but I'm already in the profit, so this is just pure profit at this point. So for 2 books, I made $30. Again, Warhammer books are great. I went on way too long for that. Howler Brothers has fallen off from when I discovered them, a couple years ago from my friend Matt over at Thrift-A-Life. This sold for $26.30. You used to be able to get like $40 or $50 for these shirts. Now not so much, but when I find them at the bins, which is where I've been finding them, I will continue to get them because it's still an easy $25 to $30. So sold this for $26.30. I will continue to pick up Howler Brothers because they do still sell. I will say that the Howler Brothers shirts overall, they feel really cheap, despite the fact that they have a high retail price and a pretty decent resale price. So if you feel a cheap shirt with a really crazy pattern, check the tag. It might be Howler Brothers. This is something for my own personal closet. I am a Twitch partner, even though I haven't live streamed on Twitch in forever because, depression. Depression. So this is a pair of Twitch pants, women's small gray flannel plaid joggers. I wore these so many times, but I let them move on to a new home when I was going through and realizing that I hadn't been wearing them. So I just let them go. Sold for $7.50. I actually got these for free at TwitchCon because I'm a partner. So these pants are 100% profit to me. I got to wear them and enjoy them for a couple years, and they've moved on to a new home. I know, Moxie, it's amazing. This is a vintage 80s piece. You can see I modeled this one. This sold for $15. This is from the big vintage buyout that I did and still have so much to list from. I paid 25 cents for this. It sold for $15. We'll do that all day long. This is an anime that I really liked watching, and I did not realize that there are new seasons out because I watched this when it first got released here in the States on Crunchyroll, and then I ran out and then I forgot about it because it'd been forever since any new seasons came out. But there are apparently whole 2 new seasons and a movie I can watch now. So I should do that whenever I get, you know, the free time that I never have. Sold for $7.87. I picked this up at the bins. I have 25 cents into it, and this went free shipping because I'm just now starting to change to paid shipping on all the books. Again, I'm experimenting. This is that Sugar Bush Black Diamond Fleece Full Zip that I showed in the inventory video that had sold for $23. The buyer paid for shipping. I picked this up like 3 years ago. So I'm really glad that it sold. I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's because I'm listing more, but like a lot of my old stuff is selling for the last like week and a half, which is kind of nice. So love that for me. I paid $5 for that at a thrift store. This is a Bowden skirt, another super old piece that's like going on 3 years now. I am more picky about the Bowden that I pick up, but I thought this was so cute and I'm so surprised it didn't sell sooner. It sold for $12. Buyer paid for shipping. I paid $4 for this at a thrift store. This is a vintage 90s Y2K Structure. So Structure was Structure was a company that was bought by Express, and so then they had Structure stores, which is the men's size and then side, and then they had the Express, which is the women's side, and then in the Y2K era, they started converting the Structure stores into Express men's. So it went from Structure to Express men's, and now Structure as a brand, I think, is like the Structure brand is now in department stores because it got bought out or it got sold off. I don't know. This is one of the old ones. I got this at the bins at FlipCon because I found it and I knew this was like one of the vintage pieces because that's like my life is vintage. Sold for $14. I paid less than $1 for this. I will do a follow-up video like I did with the book bundler video that I did talking about how much money I made as soon as I get all the FlipCon stuff listed, because most of that FlipCon stuff that I picked up when I went to FlipCon is still in my death pile. Like half of it is still in my death pile. So as soon as I get everything listed, then I will do an update video on if I paid myself back for that trip. Spoiler alert, I've sold like maybe 20 items so far and I'm already at $300 and I spent $1,328 on that trip. So doing good so far. I don't think this was in that calculation though, because you know this was last week and I do normally do it at the end of every week as I redo the calculations for both of those sales. You don't need to know that. Anyway, this is Inuyasha. This is the 5th book. It's from 1999, so it's one of the older printings. And this sold for $1.87. You're like, that's so low. And I'm like, yeah, but I had it listed for like $7.87 and it wasn't selling. And then as soon as I relisted it for $1.87 and the buyer had to pay for shipping, magically it sold. So I think that that's going to work, and you're going to see more solds in this video where like as soon as I relisted it, changing it to where the buyer had to pay for shipping, it suddenly sells. So I think it's a good that I'm switching everything over. But yeah, sold for my full asking price, and I paid $0.25 for this at the bins. This is another item that actually, like, as soon as I relisted this, so I end listings that don't have any views in 30 days, and then I sell similar, so it's a completely new listing, and it looks like more activity on my eBay store. Literally, the hour after I relisted this beta brand piece, it sold for my full asking price. So it sold for $19.87, and I love this. I probably would have kept these pants because they fit amazing. They were just too short because I have long legs as a tall lady, but I'm glad that this sold, and this actually was free to me from Melissa. So Melissa, thank you so much. This is a bins find. I originally listed this on Whatnot. It didn't when I was doing that. I missed doing that. I will eventually get back to it as soon as this death pile goes away. I'm not allowing myself to go to the bins until this death pile is more manageable. But this is an Old Navy piece. I just thought it was beautiful because it had these, like, it has pockets, first of all. It's a pull-on skirt. It's beautiful, like spring floral colors, and it was a size large. So surprised it didn't sell on Whatnot, but it did sell on eBay for $7. So, you know, I made $5 more. And it's gorgeous. So happy that this moved on to a new home. And again, this is from that big book buyout I did, not last year, because that was the warehouse sales. So the big Restore buyout I did. So I have 10 cents into this book. It sold for $10. This is, you know, it sold before I did the repricing with paid shipping. Still happy about that because I paid 10 cents for it. This was a brand new book. So in that big book buyout I did at the Restore, it was like a bookstore had gone out of business and donated all of their stock to the Restore. It was amazing. It was literally just the right place, right time. I bought, again, like 500 books. 100 of them were like brand new trade paperbacks, and then the other 400 plus books were all vintage science fiction and fantasy novels that I all moved on Whatnot. I love it. I love that. I made even more money off of that sale than I did the book bundler because the buy cost was so low, like 10 cents a book versus $1 per book. That's obviously I'm going to make way more money, but would love to have that happen again. Same thing, you know, 10 cents into this book from the same buy, brand new book, Robert Lowe Collected Prose, got an offer for $10, immediately accepted it. This is Cellarini Frenzy. This is 100% silk tie. This is one of the tie brands I will pick up and sell when it's 100% silk or wool or linen, because this is a brand that does have a pretty decent resale price. As you can see, it sold for $15. I paid $3 for this at a thrift store. Again, I talked about this every time I do a What Sold video. I love selling ties. They're normally really cheap. They take up no space in my inventory. They're super easy to list. And if I could find more of them cheaply, I would totally sell more of them because it's great. This is another book from the big book bundler buyout that I did, the warehouse buy that I did. This is Michael Moorcock, The Mad God's Amulet. This is the second volume in the Runestaff series by Michael Moorcock. I will say that Michael Moorcock, if you find any of his vintage paperbacks, pick them up because a lot of them are worth good money, like eBay money, not just Whatnot money. Even though I move a lot of his books on Whatnot for about the same price as I do on eBay. I actually had put this up on Whatnot and nobody bought it for $2. And so I sold it. I was like, okay, fine. So I put it up for sale on eBay and it sold for $19.87 plus the buyer paid for shipping. So this is another one of those that, because I was relisting stuff, got moved. I love this for me. Another thing, again, media is getting changed over to where the buyers paid for shipping. I had this listed for $7.87. This is a vintage Loverboy vinyl that I picked up at that big vinyl buyout that I did at the Goodwill. Again, another time where I was just the right place, right time. Sold for $2.87. The buyer paid for shipping. This is one where the original sleeve was missing. So that is part of why it is a lower price. Plus also you can see the wear on the cover of the cardboard sleeve. So still love that it sold. Patagonia piece, I picked this up at the bins. It sold for $13.50. This is just a basic polo. I'm not surprised it took so long to sell, but because I got it at the bins, I am more than happy that it did eventually sell for $13.50. I have talked about these guidepost books, these beautiful hardcover guidepost books. Guidepost is a Christian publishing house, and they make these cozy religious mysteries. They have like a bunch of different series. This is one of the more recent ones. This is Savannah Secrets. They have like Mysteries of Silver Lake, Mountains of Manchester. It's so many different series, and they're all written by different authors. This one was 2, 3, and 6 of Savannah Secrets, and because I'm guessing it was a more recent publication, like I think this series came out in like 2022 or something. These sold first. I do pick up these guidepost books whenever I find them because I normally get them for really cheap. I think I have $1.50 into these books and they sold for $16.87. So basically $10 and then, you know, shipping. But I'm really happy I do pick them up. I always pick them up when I sell them in lots. So I pick them up when I find them, and then as soon as I get 3 of them, I put it up in a lot and they sell that way better. I don't sell these individually unless they're signed, if that makes sense. Harry Turtledove is, my personal opinion, the master of alternative history, which I did not realize was a genre of science fiction until I became more embedded in BookTube. And this is the entire World War saga, and this actually is a combination of both Melissa gifting me a box of books and the book bundler buyout. So I had 2 books from the book bundle or buyout, and then Melissa gifted me a bunch of books, and the other 2 books in the series were in that. So 2 books were free to me, and 2 of them came from the book bundle or buyout. So Melissa, thank you. These sold for $10.87, and the buyers paid for shipping. Hairy Turtle Dove, I do not recommend selling individually unless you're doing it on a platform like Whatnot, or you have a giant. I'm sorry, I'm like touching you guys all up in your feelings. I do recommend holding out until you get a set, because it's going to sell faster that way, because he has a lot of different series. I think his fantasy ones do a little bit better, but again, I think he does a lot of research on the topics that he writes about. I, again, consider him a master of alternative history. So if you're a big history buff, like I have my degree in history, which is part of why I love reading him, I do recommend his stuff. Tahari linen. This is not 100% linen, which is why it took longer to sell. It is also a smaller size. It is a size small. I would have kept this. This is part of the reason why I picked it up, is because I was thinking about keeping it. But again, it doesn't fit my shoulders because I'm a medium. I'm small here, large up top. Normally, I just cut the difference and make a medium, or I just wear men's small shirts because that seems to work best for me. Sold for $11.90. I paid, I think, $4 for this at a thrift store. This is actually free to me. My mom and dad gifted this to me. I am trying to clear out my house and get through my death pile, and for like a solid couple months, every time I saw my mom, here was a new box of stuff from their house that they're trying to clear out for me to resell or donate. She was like, do whatever you want to do with this. I just thought that was very funny because she watches my videos, and so she knows what I'm trying to do. Also, she's seen my house. So, Mom, it was just very funny to me. This is one of the first things that sold from the pile of stuff that they keep donating. It was just a little litter device. My dad smoked for so many years, like I think he said since he was maybe 8 or 10, and he is now 70 something, so he didn't stop smoking until he was in his 70s, I think, for reasons I haven't talked about on this channel, and I'm not going to talk about now because I will get upset. So $11.50, Philip Morris, and it's a litter device because it's a place where you can dispose your butt safely. It has a hunting motif. It has a bunch of deer on it and a woodland motif, because the point of this was, like, I think one of the things that you could redeem cigarette labels for and get this for free. But for hunters, when they're out hunting, instead of like flicking the butt and possibly causing a forest fire, to, dispose of it safely in this little metal container. So you weren't causing a forest fire, which would absolutely ruin your hunting grounds if you set them on fire. Oh, I guess you wanted pre-smoked venison, but that was dark. All right. Anyway, welcome to the ballroom. Another manga book. I pick up all the manga I find that's in good shape at the bins. This is where I found this one. Sold it for $7.62 with free shipping. Paid 25 cents for this at the bins. This is another book that I relisted with a lower price, but with the plus shipping, and it's sold. I picked this up at the church bag sale, the fill a bag sale. Again, that was amazing. I would love every time I drive by that church now, I hope that signs out that they're gonna have a big book weekend again, because I will definitely go. This sold for $6 on an offer. Like, I listed it for $6.87, and then they sent me an offer for $6. I was like, yeah, you can have it for $6. What a reasonable offer. I love that. And then they paid $5.38 for shipping. So this was this is a vintage cookbook, but it's also a very niche specific cookbook. So that's why I put it in the bag. Also, it was fill a bag. I'm going to fill a bag. This is Hampton's Old With. This is a book I thought about adding to my, read a nonfiction book every month. And it sold, just like the other Old With book sold. Anytime I get a book about Old With, thinking I'm going to get an opportunity to read it, it sells before I get that opportunity because, my TBR is massive. Sold for $9.50. I paid 25 cents for this at the bins. And then the last thing I'm going to share with you is, of course, another book. Another book that as soon as I switched over to paid shipping, it sold. This is Robert Louis Stevenson's Treasure Island. This is a Barnes & Noble hardcover book. It sold for $3.87, and then the buyer paid shipping. if you look at the shipping and the price that they paid, they actually paid more than they would have originally for this book if they bought it at Barnes & Noble when it was out. And that's something that I kind of want to mention here when it comes to books, because I've had this question before when I've talked about books. Vintage books, like they're like, oh, does the price on the book, because some of the vintage books, especially the pulps, have like 40 cents on the cover. Or like if it's, you know, from the 70s or 80s, it says it's like $2.95 or something. They're like, is that what I charge for the book? Or because it's older book, then I can only charge $1 for it? No. It does, because they're older books, there are fewer of them because people read them and they fall apart. And so charge the market price of what they're currently selling for. Whatever it originally cost doesn't necessarily matter unless it's like a more modern new book. And then, you know, you're competing at that point at Amazon. And, you know, all the other bookstores that are selling that book at either retail price or at a discounted price, especially on Amazon. So the price that's marked on the book doesn't matter if it's older than 20 years old, if that makes any sense. So, especially if it's older than even 10, 15 years old. Some books, modern books, that doesn't matter as well. Like the Quicksilver by Hart, which went super viral on Book Talk. Like that original purchase price is like half of what you can resell it now for. And that book's, I think, only been out for less than 5 years because like it did a limited first run and then it hasn't been reprinted again. So just do your research, but that doesn't necessarily matter. Anyway, again, this is me going on too much about books. Can you tell I love them? I will again plug my book channel. It'll be up above and down below, and I will see you guys in the next video, which will not be about books, except for maybe me listing them or buying them. Never mind. It'll probably also be about books. Anyway, bye. Bye.